Welcome back to the Franklin Factor podcast. I am so excited today because we have Beverly Bradley, the amazing and dear friend of mine. I'm so glad she agreed to come back and join us today. So we are going to learn all about her journey and new home sales, and hopefully you guys will learn a little bit about what she knows because she has a plethora of information in that brain. So we will dive in.
All right.
Okay, so Bev, tell us a little bit about your journey in new home sales.
Well, I grew up in a family of realtors. So I got my real estate license when I was 25. I got my broker's license when I was 28. So
Oh, wow.
It was a lot easier then.
Yes.
But I started selling homes back in the mid 70s. So it was a lot different. My dad had been a builder, so I sort of got exposed to the new home deal very early. But I got really into it, I guess, when my husband took a job in Orlando, and I swore I was never going to get into real estate again, but I did. Someone taught me into going ahead and doing that, and it was the best decision of my life. So I sold primarily new homes. I was working with relocation buyers, and I just fell in love with the ability to sell new homes and the on-site salesperson take care of things. So I started that in 1986. We moved out there, and from 86 to 92, I was a realtor. But 90%, 95% of what I sold was new homes. So
interesting.
I got exposed to it, loved it. And so when we decided in 92 to move back to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which was home for us, I didn't even think about, I just was like, I don't want to start over as a realtor. So
Yeah, building that client base all over again.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So I was a very successful realtor in Orlando and had a great career there. And so I interviewed with I interviewed with Syntax, and I interviewed with David Weekley Homes.
Wow. And so that was 1992. So
And I had
33 years.
Yes.
You've been with David Weekley Homes.
Yes.
33 years. That's
Yes.
amazing.
So I started out in sales with Weekley and did that for about a year. And they offered me a sales coach position, which at the time was really just going to the field and coaching salespeople. But a couple of years later, it became our training position. And so I did that for years. And I was in Dallas until I transferred down here in 98. So it was a great way to get your brain around what you really need to do as a salesperson and to work with the realtors on ideas and how to work with us. So it sort of covered all bases, I guess, in reality.
So Bev, yeah, I think that's a great thing to talk about a little bit to the audience is like, what is a sales trainer and like, what was your role as far as coaching the sales counselors and getting more homes sold?
Extensive.
Yes.
So we train them on a process for selling. Weekley is really big on customer focused and finding out what's important to the customer. We call it our trust. It's trust building. And because we feel like if people like and trust you, they will buy from you and be much more inclined to buy from you. So we teach that, and it's an extensive class. We now have e-learning, which I helped create, and they've changed along the way, obviously.
Of course.
But we created e-learning classes and then on-site classes where we role play with them and talk through a lot of different things. And Weekley's really big on training. So we ongoing have training. And we have things that we will do for realtors as well. So both directions. So we have a realtor construction class that we like to do for realtors. And it's a great opportunity for them to learn what we do at Weekley Homes and
How the home's built.
how the home is built and things that help them in general know when they're out showing homes with the customer to be aware of and conscious of. Not that every builder is going to build the same and there's just one way to build, but it makes them more knowledgeable. And I don't think they really have a resource for getting that information.
No, you're right, because they don't. Like the schools don't teach that. But I love how Weekley is realtor focused and that they are always wanting to be more collaborative with realtors. They've never been a company that wants to say, we're not paying 3%, right? When all that stuff was happening about a year ago. But they also have always been helpful, collaborative. They don't ever look at like cutting out the realtor. So it's great to see that not only are they teaching the sales counselors to want to work with realtors, but also providing classes. That's great.
And honestly, I mean, I tell realtors all the time, because sometimes they're afraid to bring somebody in or they're afraid to give you their name and all that. In reality, I don't ever write a contract that I don't confirm whether somebody has a realtor. And if they say, well, do we get a benefit? No. I mean, there's no benefit to you. So if you have a realtor, I want to include them. And I try to ask that early so that if I'm communicating with a prospect, the realtor, I can put them on the email and they can know exactly what I'm saying to the customer. And if they want to give me a call and talk about it, then they can. So, because they're a part of the process. And if that customer's already connected with them, they may know things that I'm not finding out that would be helpful.
So, Bev, you mentioned the transition from realtor to sales trainer, and then sales training back to sales. How was that? When did that happen? And kind of how did that all transpire?
So in 2008, when I transferred down to Houston, I was actually project manager for Build on Your Lot, and I ran our new home center, and I did corporate training. When I went back into training, then we expanded that, and it was much more than just simple training, and we did a lot of realtor classes and a lot of other things along with it. When I transitioned back into sales, in 2008, we had started our what we called central living, and it was selling in the central part of the city. I literally walked into my boss's, our area president's office one day and said, I have this harebrained idea. And he said, what? And I said, I think I want to go sell this product that we're doing. We had 5 projects starting with 2-3 groups of 3 in Montrose and 5 in Highland Village and 12 in the Heights. It was a little townhome deal. And it was just all little scattered stuff. So it wasn't enough to have a salesperson at each location. And with my realtor background, it was a good fit. So he literally said, shut the door. I will find a trainer and I want you to do this. So I didn't even talk to my husband about it before I did it. But it was a great journey, and I absolutely loved it. It was a great fit for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed doing this over the years. It's just a lot of fun, and I like the diversity. So that was part of what I get bored with something if I'm staying too long. So it was years before I had more than even, I think at Village of Spring Branch, I had 39 homes, and that was the most I had until I went to Timber Grove Village, and I finally got 118 homes to sell. So
wow.
Yeah,
and Village of Spring Branch is where I bought from you.
Yes.
So, when we have David Weekley, people who buy from David Weekley, I'm just a huge proponent of them because of how, the whole process, has just, and I'm sure y'all perfected it over the years, but the portfolio, the portal that you can see stuff and have access to all of your documents, but then the design center, the whole build, and then the coolest thing that I feel like when we tell our customers is the warranty department. And if there is anything wrong, I was telling somebody the other day, David Weekley stands by what they build.
We do.
Which unfortunately I've seen way too many people or too many builders that don't.
Right.
And that's what gives that bad taste about builders, right? Mm-hmm. Because they build it, they give that 210 warranty, and then they're gone.
Yep.
That was very common and is probably still very common. I haven't seen it recently, but in the Heights, there's all these mom and pop builders.
Oh, right.
They end up getting a lawsuit. Right. And then, so I knew when I was buying in Central Living that I wanted to have a stand-up builder. Mm-hmm. So that was great. Central Living has been such a success, and you kind of spearheaded that. So that's cool.
Yes, it was. And, the thing, Sarah, about working with realtors, I'm broker of record for Weekly. So,
Yes.
so sometimes the realtors reach out to me. And when you mention warranty, our warranty, 35% of Weekly's buyers is repeat buyers.
30, well, that's a
Which is
big
huge.
number. Yeah,
It's
35%.
35%. And I always tell people no builder is perfect, and we're not
No.
either. The difference is what you said, whether we stand behind it or not. And it honestly, Weekly's philosophy has always been it doesn't matter how old it is. If we truly did something wrong, then we need to take care of that. So, and we do. So we do have warranty managers. The builder doesn't handle warranty, which is a huge benefit for customers. So they don't have to track somebody down. They have a central number, or they can go onto their buyer site and do that. So there are a lot of benefits, and it makes it easier for a realtor as well. So I frequently have realtors reach out to me that know me. They've listed a home somewhere. An inspection report's been done. A couple of things are on it that they're like, well, I think this is stuff Weekly should take care of. And I'm like, well, let's put you in touch with our warranty department and let somebody come out. And every time that's ever happened, they've called me and said, oh my gosh, they came out and took care of that and took care of a couple other things that need to be done. And so, that takes a lot of weight off of a realtor in reality, because having been there, your fear is not. And today it's obviously 10 times worse than it was even back when I was selling. And you're held accountable for that. And people can sue you over something if you didn't do the right thing. And I understand that.
Yes, for sure. And I love that they stand behind that. It's just amazing. I think people listening, even like builders, could listen to this and hear like modeling a warranty department after. I mean, that's pretty big to say, 35%. And it's because of not just their experience, because obviously you're going to buy if you have a great experience, like you have a good taste in your mouth, or like you can speak, and give a great recommendation. But to buy again, is huge. And 35%, I mean, wow, that's
a huge
it's
number.
Much higher than I would have thought. So that's awesome.
It's pretty common for us to have people walk in and say, we know we want a Weekly, we're just trying to figure out where we want to buy.
And they know that, like, okay, they've been in a house for a long time. If there were any issues or anything crazy, they would have gone to the warranty department and had it handled. So that does speak pretty big.
And realtors that have worked with us know that it's our responsibility to take over. I just had a conversation with a realtor right before I came in here that's brought a buyer into me. And we were trying to schedule the closing. And I said, well, if it's okay, normally I would just call and schedule this and we'll coordinate it and I'll let you know what we've ended up with. And they were like, oh, yes, please do that. I'm like, that's our normal deal. I mean, we call our buyers weekly when it's under construction, as you well know. And that's one of the things that comes up is that. But we want to keep the realtor involved for sure. But in reality, it's got to work with when the builder is going to be completed with the home and when we're ready to actually.
Well, and that's a good thing. Like the realtors, we've always looked at it this way because we've always worked with builders. I mean, for as long as I've been around, 30 plus years, I think my dad's worked with 40 plus years probably, but
probably 40.
Yeah. But the importance of a builder, in the relationship is you can look at it as a partnership. It doesn't have to be, they're representing the seller and I'm representing the buyer. Like in any transaction, like a resale or a new home, it doesn't need to be we're against the other. Like we're trying, we're a team. And so I think sometimes that gets lost on realtors because they think, and yes, you're right. That's why we think having representation is important because yes, you do represent, but you're not out here to like come out and pull one over on somebody. I mean, that's not what we're.
No benefit. No benefit to that.
Exactly.
And a realtor can be such an asset. I sold a home 3 weeks ago, and the customer, I walked in, and it was 10 o'clock in the morning. My generator was out because we didn't have electricity at the time, and I walked in, and she was in there with a customer, and we ended up taking them out, finding a home that they loved and all this, and we're sitting there talking, and I guess they had other appointments. And this is one of the things that's really wonderful. She did such an awesome job with this. And the buyer, she said, okay, guys, I know you need to be at a doctor's appointment at X time. She said, so I guess we better go so we can go look at a couple more homes. And they just sat there. And she was astute enough to pick up on it. And she said, or maybe not. She said, do we need to talk? And they went, mm-hmm. And I said, well, you know what, guys, just go in the living room and sit down and chat and talk. And, if you want to talk through some things, and let me know what I can do to help in here. So, and did. And they came back in and they bought that home and she didn't push them to go look at other homes, which to me is one of the things that if realtors can understand, give us time, let us show them we're the experts on our product and our community, and let us show them the things that we have that could benefit them. If we can ask some questions, we can narrow down and figure out. And if I don't have what you need, then I'm going to go, I don't have it.
Right.
So, I mean, I just really don't have if that's that important to you, I'm not going to be able to provide that. So why would I waste your time and my time?
Kind of putting back like your sales trainer hat on, I'm sure things have changed over the years, right? But you've adapted and made it happen. I think a lot of people in the industry have always been just, oh, there's this problem, there's this, and there's always this like scare tactic, it seems like, oh, the interest rates or COVID and, just everything, right? So what have you seen, or maybe what's important that you think sales counselors could use as far as things that you've noticed that maybe some people could do better of? Maybe like a tip. I was thinking, like, if I was in your role, like as a sales counselor, one of the things that from my perspective is for like communication. I feel like is so important. And the people who are successful are really good at communication. Like they're not just assuming stuff. They're, like thinking about when I bought from you, like you're updating, or when we do transactions together, you're updating everybody. There's phone calls. You're not just counting on email, which is a big deal, right? Like nobody wants to pick up the phone nowadays. Right. So it's like email or text and a call would be good. But also consistency. I think you're you're such a great model when it comes to as a salesperson or even just a realtor, like being consistent. I've talked about that on the podcast as well. Like consistency. You can't just, how many times do you pick up the phone from past leads? Like you're always really good at clearing your leads.
And I'm big on follow-up, and yes, I am. Communication is, and it's funny you say that. That is, we have a new salesperson starting, and she's been mentoring with me some, and she told me the other day, she said, one of the things I see about you is you're so consistent with everything. Following up with people is huge, and none of us like to get on the phone. I mean, maybe there's people that do. It's not my favorite thing to do.
Right.
But if I intend to be successful, it's a necessity. And
that is huge. Okay, because exactly what you just said, because not everything that we do in our job or in our career, and like on your role, is your favorite thing to do.
Absolutely not.
But it's part of the job, and it's part of like, if I want to sell a home, my job is to sell homes. If I want to sell a home, it's like that book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie.
Oh, yes.
If you want to sell a home, you need to pick up the phone and make a call or like follow up. And then follow up, I mean, y'all probably have a plan. We have a plan at like 7 days of pain, what we teach our agents to do. Like it's painful, but you got to pick up the phone.
Well, and you got to put notes down to keep it. I can't remember this morning to this afternoon what I said to somebody. And when 10 people walk in my model in one day, if I didn't take notes on it, I will never remember. I'd be calling. It's like cold calling. Then it's not fun.
Right.
So if I have notes on it and I can remember them and keep putting my notes in it, and make a note, I have something personal to call them about.
Exactly. Like, oh, you're having a baby. How are you feeling?
Or I know you said that you were getting your home on the market. Have you succeeded at that? And no, we're still working on getting there, but we are working on it. So all of those things, it keeps us in connection with a prospect and yet it also helps us know what's going on. And for them to know that we're not just trying to bug them. We're just trying to check in and see what we can do to help along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Because what they do get irritated about is if you just keep bugging them and for no reason, and there's no reason for them to come out because they're, I'll look and see if their home's still on the market. And if it's still on the market and I talk to them 30 days about that, I'm not going to call them today because they're probably frustrated it hadn't sold anyway. So, I have to be respectful of that. My customers become friends of mine, just like you did. And I have a lot of customers that do that, and they call me for advice along the way. And, I sometimes sell them multiple homes, So you want to be, and I know realtors do that. You got to be an advocate for the customer and be there for them. And some you're going to do more for than you will others.
Right.
In reality, right?
Yeah.
So, you've got to be sensitive to their specific situation. Sometimes they have health issues or someone gets sick in the family. Life is life.
Right.
And it's different. It's different. And we have to remember that when people walk in our door, whether it's a realtor or a customer. We have a lot of customers that come in and they'll put a realtor down on their card. And I always copy them. When I email them, I will copy the realtor and so they know they came out and they know I'm aware that they're a realtor. So,
right.
Because if they don't sell many new homes, they may be thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to get cut out of this deal.
Right.
When their customer tells them they went out and looked at a home.
Which is fair because there has been builders that do that, unfortunately,
I experienced some of that when I was a realtor in Orlando.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yes. And that's not a pretty thing in reality. And that's why weekly, we don't even register realtors anymore until we write a contract.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We don't even bother to do. We don't have the first time we fill out a commission protection agreement is when we write a contract.
Writing the contract.
Because sometimes people change who they're using, and that's their prerogative to do that.
Sure.
So,
okay, so Bev, what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen over 30 plus years in new construction?
there's been a lot.
Yes, there
and
has.
It's ongoing. It's interesting that when I even transferred from Dallas to Houston with Weekly, we didn't do double pane windows here.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
It wasn't a requirement, and Weekly wasn't doing it. But my boss that brought me here, we both had come from the Dallas-Fort Worth area where we were used to that, and he was like, what are we thinking, down here? So obviously he changed that. But a lot of things has happened. I found this interesting, but we are one of the few builders that seem to do 2x6 perimeter walls. You get 40% more insulation in a wall when you do a
40%.
2x6 wall versus a 2x4 wall. It's huge. We just recently, and this shows you how things changed. In 2008, the mold scare happened. In 2002, the mold scare happened here in Houston. At that time, Weekly started making a ton of changes we hired Joe Stiebrick, who's a building forensic scientist, and he guides us, and we don't make changes without him being consulted. So we do a lot of things behind the walls that are crucial, and we don't just randomly do them. We test them. He guides us on what's right for different climates. So I think that's huge, and people don't. It's something that is hard for people to understand and relate to all that. That's part of what we try to educate realtors on. So we don't use paper on insulation on the walls. We have just started doing the conditioned attic space, where now your attic is we have an open cell foam, so not a closed cell foam, and there is a difference in that. I had class on this yesterday and learned a little bit about it. But open cell foam, where although a water leak, a roof leak is rare because we do have a layer that is between the roof and the decking. But if it should happen from a storm or anything else, then it's going to come through. I think people have this opinion that it's not going to come through, and some people think that you have to have a dehumidifier. You do not need, with open cell foam, you do not need a dehumidifier. We tested this for 6 to 8 years before we've decided to put it out citywide, and it is absolutely awesome. It's reduced our HERS rating from 57 to 50 as an average. So we were already diamond level with environments for living. So now energy efficiency is a huge deal to people. I mean, it costs a lot. In Houston, we have a lot of heat, and it's very important that we capsulize the home. So now you can walk up in your attic, keep things up there comfortably, but you also, it means a huge difference in you're no longer got an attic above your ceiling that is got 140-degree temperature in it. So it is actually comfortable when you walk up there. So it's called conditioned attic space. It has a vent that is basically coming from the AC that keeps air in there. So it's probably 10 to 15 degrees difference than your home is. But it's a huge deal.
That's huge.
So
yeah.
we don't do it in the walls because what we do in the walls is better than what it would be if we did that in the walls. But 2x6 walls. But those kinds of little things, we seal everything up. And I don't know what all other builders do, but for us, we have to be at 3% air loss to qualify for the diamond level with environments for living. So those energy efficiency things are huge to people. They may be coming out of a 30 or 40-year-old home that's still got single pane windows, or even if it doesn't, it may not have much insulation in it, and they're paying $500-$600 energy bills. And our average energy bill is about $100 a month as an average now.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's huge.
It's a big difference.
It's a big difference for sure. And, you have more consistent airflow like through the house too. You're not like in one room's much colder and the other room's much hotter.
No, you can balance that.
Balance it
we
much
do
better.
Jump ducts in our secondary bedrooms, and obviously you need a return and a master and a living area. But we do jump ducts in the bedroom, so yeah, you're balancing that airflow to keep it consistent throughout the whole home.
Yeah. So Bev, you are known as being a very, not fierce, but persistent,
Structured.
determined, structured, amazing sales coach and leader. What would be some of your daily habits or mindset that you could share that would help maybe others be more successful?
Well, I do think it's important to have goals and to set yourself a structured schedule. And you can't always go by that exactly, but you have to have things that you do on a consistent basis. So for me, I think it's important for me to walk my homes daily. For instance, my home's under construction. I need to go see what's going on in them, be aware of it. I need to do my follow-up. Well, some days I don't get to do much follow-up because customers are walking in, you've got meetings, you've various things going on. So for me, by Tuesday evening, I'm typically out of the office on Wednesdays and Thursdays. By Tuesday evening, my goal is to be caught up on all that. So I can walk out of the office and go, okay, I don't have to feel like I've got all this workload that I should have taken care of that I didn't. But the consistency of doing things and doing follow-up regularly and consistently, having looking at your website, knowing what's on there, reaching out to realtors, making sure what's on HAR is correct, and fully describing what your home is and making sure it's accurately given information to someone.
So I think that's good, definitely good stuff as a salesperson, but I think probably a lot of that carries over into how you are personally too. Like we were just talking about how you wake up early and you do this, this, and this. I think a lot of that is the same as how you are at work, like how you are at home, right? Like you're not going to be a different person at work than you are at home. Well, what I think is so amazing though, to kind of continue on a little bit about you though, is your creative mind. Like you're always trying to think outside the box, which I think is big when you're a realtor or a salesperson or a lender. There's all these things. And I think that's why you and I worked really well together, because we provide programs that help provide solutions to sell incremental homes. But even over the years, we've adapted and added more programs and stuff like that. And you're like, what was it the other day? You called me and you're like, is this true? Do y'all have this program? Right. But I think that's why, I mean, you've been such a proponent as a sales trainer, coaching
Yes.
these salespeople, like, hello, this is a
benefit.
tool
It'll
for
help
you
me
guys.
sell a home.
Like, why would I not use this?
Right.
You know? So I think you're one of the reasons.
And now you're right. I have to go, okay, I need to pull this sheet. They've got several programs
there's a lot
here.
more now.
And let me get Sarah on the phone.
Yeah. But you're the person that, and several people that we work with at David Weekly, that when we go out to sell the programs, my girls, and if I'm there, I'm like, you know, the top selling salespeople use this. And it's not just at David Weekly, it's David Weekly for sure, but it's other builders that
Of course.
they're pros and they're like, hello, why would I
wouldn't
not
you?
use this? You know? So I've always appreciated your support for us when you're training people or when you're mentoring people, because I mean, that's just helping, even though it doesn't necessarily financially help you by mentoring an agent, right? But it helps the company and you're an owner of the company. So, you know, and there's
We're
just
a
a
team.
way of, we're teams and partners and, you know, it's a way of collaborating.
Absolutely.
So I just had to share that because I appreciate you so much.
I tell people this all the time. The buyout program is great. So they're going to have an outside appraisal done. You may not agree with it, but remember, that's a bottom line price. The goal is not for them to buy your home. The goal is for y'all to work as a team to market your home.
Exactly.
And get you the best price. But worst case scenario, you're not going to lose the purchase on this home because you now know this is your worst case scenario.
And even if you don't like that, which most people aren't going to like the number.
Of course.
It's not 100% of value.
Right.
You know, it's 96.
Which
but
isn't
with
all
these,
bad in
right.
reality.
Yeah. So Bev, for someone starting a new home sales, is there any tips or advice that you could provide? Maybe some advice for a new home sales counselor?
Wow, there's a lot, I guess, in reality. If someone's starting brand new in new home sales, I strongly recommend that they learn their product.
Yes.
They have to know their homes, which means they're going to have to do some research, which we have the ability for them to do that, but they're going to have to do some legwork. They may have to go across town to walk through that plan and see it. But I think it's crucial that they learn that. They need to know their features in their home so they are prepared to answer questions when someone wants to know if something's included or not. We recommend they put together a walk book of all their floor plans and features and a lot of different things. And that's a guideline for them and a resource. And I pull mine out almost daily and look at it.
Yes,
you can't
do.
remember everything,
Right.
you know. So I also recommend that they go walk their home sites. They look at lots before they, you know, in home building, we have to do what we call pre-paneling. So we have to determine what home for inventory is going to be built on a home site. You can't sit here and look at a piece of paper and make that determination. There may be a swell. There may be a water thing in the front.
Right.
There can be all kinds of things that are there. A light pole, you name it, that might be further into the yard than you want it to be. So you might need to put the drive on the left versus the right side. A lot of different things related to the home site are important. You may have a limit, like in my community, I'm in Colton, and we have to have 3 homes between before we can build the next home. And we're in there with another builder, so therefore it can really limit what you have available. So the more you're aware of that, the more urgency you can create, which is one of the things you're trying to do with the customers. Create urgency that they need to buy now versus 3 months,
Waiting.
6 months from now. So those things are all important. I think it's important for us. We have a beautiful design center. Not all builders have that. We're about to move into an even better and nicer one that I can't wait to see.
Yes.
But even now, our design center is wonderful, and they need to go and observe that and know what a customer goes through. You know, it's always been a benefit to me. I've moved a few times, and it's been a while now. But every time I move and buy a new weekly home, I'm like, oh my gosh, you forget what it's like to be a buyer. And it's really important to remember what that's like, the stress of selling their existing home and moving out of it, and the stress of picking colors, and are they right, or are they going to be good? I mean, we have degree designers that do an awesome job, but it's still scary, and I get that. I mean, I've been through it, and I get that. I mean, I helped my daughter 4 years ago, and you're still going, okay. I mean, I almost made her come look at homes and walk through them so she'd know what something would look like.
Sure.
Because it's hard. It's really hard for people to imagine all of that and to stay within a budget you want to stay within. So, all of those things are important for you to do. And then the realtor liaison of going out and knowing realtors that can market. I usually suggest driving the areas around there and knowing who the realtors are that are selling in the nearby areas, starting with that, and then you can expand upon that.
Right.
So, I think realtors that do a really good job don't focus on one community. They really try to find out what their customers want, and they learn all the communities. We've got to know that too. We got to know what they're going to be exposing them to.
Sure. Well, awesome. Well, thanks so much, Bev. This has been so great. And I am so glad you came and joined us today. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you even thinking about me and inviting me here.
Well, thank
it's been great.
Thank you. Okay, friends, thanks so much for joining us today with Bev on the Franklin Factor podcast. We will see you next time.